Alright, welcome to this week's episode of Library Picker, where we take a look around the shelves in Messing Library and try to find some books that might not be that familiar to you, but are great stories. Today we'll start in the historical fiction section, and we'll take a look at a book called Warriors in the Crossfire by Nancy Bo Flood. So this book is set during World War II on the island of Saipan in the Pacific Ocean, and it's the story of the battle there, one of the bloodiest battles of World War II on the Pacific side, where 30 or 40,000 people died. And the story is told from the perspective of two young boys, cousins, trying to deal with war and the aftermath of some of the battles and some of the horrible things they experienced. So this is a great pick on our historical fiction shelf. Let's move over to our science fiction and fantasy section. Fast forward here a little bit. Great title over here that's pretty new. Museum of Thieves. So this is by an author named Leon Tanner. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not going to tell you too much about this one, but let's go to the library website. And if you scroll about halfway down, in one of the little sidebars under Books and More, you're going to see a link called Book Trailers Playlist. We've looked at this before. But I'm going to scroll through here, and we're going to take a look at the part of the trailer for this one. There's some great illustrations in this book as well.
Welcome to
the Perilous City of Jewel. Let's fast forward a little bit to, say, here.
Goldie runs away to the mysterious Museum of Dunt. There's great wonders hidden in the museum, but there's terrible things too. Things that mustn't be allowed to break out into the city.
So that looks pretty cool. There's a little mix of magic and adventure in there, and this is a great one. It's on our sci-fi and fantasy shelf. Okay, let's head over to our Halloween or spooky and scary story shelf. Still a lot of good picks on here. And let's start with this one, Tales of Death and Dementia. So this is 4 classic tales by the guy that's considered the master of psychological horror, Edgar Allan Poe. But these aren't just the stories. There are some great spooky illustrations in this book. So this would be a great thing if you're not looking for a novel, but you want something scary to read this weekend. Try out one of the books on this shelf. There's a lot of short story books that you might be interested in. Let's move on to another book on this shelf. Another set of great short stories by another master of horror, Richard Matheson. This is a guy that influenced people like Stephen King. I Am Legend is a collection of short stories, the most famous of which is one called I Am Legend. And it was most recently made into a movie starring Will Smith, but the original version of this movie starred a gentleman named Vincent Price. And Vincent Price, for those of you that know your school history, attended Country Day. We have a theater named after him on the upper school campus. If we take a look at, let's go to Google and type in his name, and let's just take a look at the Wikipedia page. This guy, if Matheson and Edgar Allan Poe are considered masters of horror, Vincent Price is considered the master of acting when it comes to horror films. He was in something like 200 movies. And he was most well known for his voice. He was featured in Michael Jackson's video Thriller, and he's well known for his laugh. Here it is. Now, if we're talking about spooky voices, I'm going to take you another book on the Halloween shelf. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. There's a really good chance that I just completely mispronounced his name, but I love his book. We have a couple of copies of it in the library, and it's definitely something you should take a look at. It's kind of his take on the Jungle Book story, if you've ever read that book or seen the Disney movie. The difference is his is set in a graveyard. Now, I didn't actually read this book. I bought it on iTunes, and I listened to it on my iPod. But there's a way for you to listen to it free if you're looking for something spooky to listen to this weekend. Have you seen our new bookmarks? They're weird. We're working on them and trying them out. But let's go to this website, boo.micdslibrary.com. That's just going to take you to kind of a spooked out version of our middle school website. And if you scroll down to that same place we were before, under Books and More, there's a link that says The Graveyard Book Video Tour. That takes you to his website, mousecircus.com, where he's posting his videos along his tour, and at each stop in his tour he's reading a chapter of this book. Let's listen to it a little bit.
A small sign in the hotel lobby announced that the Washington room was taken that night by a private function, although there was no information as to what kind of function this might be.
Just like I said, great voice, spooky voice, does all the dialogue really well in the book. Definitely listen to this if you get a chance. That's it for this week's episode of Library Picker. Just one more thing I want to hit before we go. In chapel earlier this week, a lot of you heard the announcement about National Novel Writing Month, and a bunch of you have already signed up. That's great. If you're still interested in signing up and you haven't done it yet, send me an email or come talk to me in the library, or sign up on the sheet outside the middle school office. Should be a good time. You can write by yourself, you can write in a group, you can set a low word count, and you don't have to start until after exams if you want. But come make some stuff up with us. We should come up with some crazy stories. Have a great weekend and enjoy your Halloween.